Welcome into this edition of Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. One final game on the regular season schedule. That is what everybody's focusing on. No need, of course, even for the fans who maybe have the luxury to look ahead. It's all about this one right here, right now, and opportunity to face Westmoore. Edmund Memorial was this past week. It was senior night for your group as we, of course, sit in here with head coach Josh Blankenship. Talk about this senior class. We chatted a little bit about it, of course, coming into the game, but just to actually get to see them celebrate on the field with their families, the hard work that's been put in by yourself towards them, as well as them reciprocating that to you. Just how special is it to be a part of the lives like that?
It's incredible, and I think we got into this a little bit last week, but this group is the first group since I've been here that decided to change our culture, and it's as much effort as you can put into that as coaches. You're waiting on the players to take ownership of it and really make the change. And those guys did it. It's an unbelievable legacy that they're going to leave. And that's not just coach speak. I know every year when you talk about seniors, in the senior class, you talk about how special they are. I'm honestly saying this group changed our culture for the better, the way we prepare, the way we practice, the way we go in the off season, the way we approach football. And for that group to do it when, all the way up from youth ball, those guys have not won a whole lot. For them to have the maturity and the desire to go change things with the sense of urgency that they did, I'm so appreciative and so proud of them for doing that.
It speaks a lot. We have players on these segments every week, and somehow, some way, it seems like the senior class is alluded to or mentioned at the development of the younger players as well. So, I think that you're noticing it, and I think everybody, including these underclassmen as well, are noticing it as time goes on. You have that younger team, especially on the offensive side of the core, but as this season goes along, you're approaching this final game. You basically have a year's worth of film on what this team has been here so far. What do you think the Edmund Memorial Week really taught you guys as a staff in particular about approaching your team for this final week?
Similar approach. It's a district game with a sense of urgency to lock in a playoff spot. We talk about all those analytics and, the different possibilities. Ultimately, it just boils down to finding a way to go win the game. You look at a final score and you think, it wasn't close. But when you watch the film, you see how close we are, and that's makes the loss hurt, probably a little bit more, is that we haven't quite gotten over the hump. But as soon as we can learn to handle some adversity when something doesn't go our way and to power through it, I think that'll be the real tipping point for our group. So sense of urgency this week.
Yeah, to add to your point, really, I think you guys, on third downs this past week, I mean, so close to maybe finding a way to get off the field at times. And, what did you guys maybe learn just about third downs, in particular about your team, moments where maybe you can circle that says, hey, in a spot like this is your moment to maybe get us off the field and use it as a learning point. Like you said, the senior class, very humble in their approach to make sure they learn each and every week to change that culture. And what are you seeing from your guys in that third down wise?
It's something that we've got to get better at. You go all the way back to the Mustang game, and we had some 4th and 10s, I think, back to back at the end of the game, and we couldn't get off the field.
Right.
So changing some personnel groupings, trying to find the perfect call for that situation, and that's not the only one. As the season goes on, you're trying to figure out what's your 4th and 1 call, what's your goal line defense call. And we've started to figure a lot of those things out. We've gotten some 4th down stops. We've gotten some goal line stands. We've turned our defense has turned an offense away maybe after a sudden change or an explosive play to get down into the red zone. We haven't quite gotten to the point where we're figuring out a way to get off the field on 3rd and 10, 4th and 10, or long.
Yeah, who are you noticing as well, maybe in the details of the game down on the sideline that are really stepping up in moments like that, maybe just from a standpoint of making sure that this defense stays together as a unit right now? Third downs might not go your way. 4th downs might not go your way, but who stands out to you as far as this defensive core that's making sure that they're bringing that attitude next drive that this team needs to stay in the game?
Well, no surprise, Cole Lamont. He takes the lead on that and does a phenomenal job, and then obviously follows it up with his play. Ricky Fernandez, since he started going over there and playing a lot of nose guard, he brings that. He's a captain as well. He had primarily been an offensive line guy, and we were very aware of his leadership on that side of the ball, but the difference he's starting to make over there. Colby Crosby's been a leader in that group the entire season. So that was the thing. I told him after the game I was extremely proud of him, disappointed, obviously, in the outcome. But they displayed a ton of character in two specific situations, but obviously the score by Sango at the very end, for him to make that run and put it in the end zone was really impressive and shows a lot of heart. But I believe it was Cole, but we got a block on one of their last PATs. And that is one of those areas that you usually see guys kind of check out when the game's out of hand. And we didn't do that. We were trying to block that thing like we had worked on all week, and finally got one there at the end.
Yeah, I think that speaks volumes about your defense at the end of the day, and kind of reminds me a little bit of Shane Beamer at South Carolina. His message is to his defense, every play we're trying to score as well. If you're not trying to score as a defense, even if it's an extra point, whatever it may be, you're not approaching the defensive side of the ball right. And so I love to see that. At the end of the game, everybody was looking at the score line, but at the end of the day, I think everybody had that one pop off the page. When you block that extra point, and then you start to look maybe at individual details of the attitude of players on that bench, it looks different after that for sure.
It was the whole sideline. I mean,
right.
it was everybody. It was the backups. It was the guys that don't have a on the field role necessarily. I didn't think we did a great job of that the previous week. But this week we challenged them on that, and they were phenomenal on that aspect.
Yeah, no doubt. Looking at the defense one last time before we go to break, approaching Westmoore, we'll get to that a little later. But, looking at your defense, you feel at this point in the season, you guys are able to go in pretty healthy as far as your defense. We kind of do a little bit of a State of the Union typically on just making sure that some guys are fully healthy. Go into detail if you'd like, but do you feel like this team is a healthy team right now on the defensive side of the ball?
I think for going into week 10, we're healthy.
Right.
It's but there's
tough to do that.
Yeah, there's a lens you're looking through on week 10. They're all beat up. They're all got bumps and bruises and things they're pushing through. But overall health is especially compared to what we've dealt with last year.
Right. Yeah, last year
we are phenomenally healthy there. But we're certainly beat up. But everybody is. I mean, everybody you go against is as well.
No doubt. So we'll chat about the offensive side of the ball when we do come back here in just a moment. You're watching Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. We'll be back for the offense here in just a bit.
Hey, Broken Arrow fans! Score big with TTCU Federal Credit Union's School Pride Card. Each time you use your card, we donate to Broken Arrow Public Schools, adding to the $2.5 million we've given statewide. TTCU, where members are raving fans.
For families who like to build their wealth while staying liquid, we have flexible rate CDs to keep your funds working hard, even when you're not. First National Bank of Broken Arrow. The right balance.
Welcome back to Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib, offensive side of the ball that we get to focus on now for just a little bit as we move forward in our show. I think it's high time, of course, we not just chat about him a little bit, but really talk about the potential that this young man has to grow this program. Corey Sango, I mean, for a freshman, you like to get him snaps, but for somebody to be able to take advantage of limited snaps in the role that he's in right now, the way that he's been able to take advantage of them, I look to my right in the booth every time, and I see the smile on Coach Mo Wallace's face, and at the same time, I see a smirk on his face because I think that it's just a matter of time for everybody to realize the talent of this kid. Nice thing about, of course, Coach Wallace is that he gets to develop the freshmen. And then, of course, when you go ask reports on these players, he's able to give you a report on a guy like Corey Sango. You see it yourself, and you give him an opportunity to shine. 59-yard ripper right up the middle, and this kid doesn't slow down.
No, he that was probably the most attractive thing about him that I noticed early was how hard he hits the hole. He's got a lot of intangibles. He's got good vision. He's got great feet. He's got great strength. He's not easy to bring down, and he refuses to go down. But the way he hits it, especially with the offensive line that we have and what they're able to produce up there, it just marries so well with our style of run game. So we saw it early, but for him to be that productive and, in so few carries the other night was really, really impressive.
Yeah, running backs are one thing, wide receiver core the other thing. Of course, time goes on, and it seems like there isn't an off week for Tayshaun Jones-Wade as well. He gets a huge touchdown down the sideline and just separates at the last moment. DB made a risky play, didn't pay off, and that's the guy you can't risk giving up space in the secondary to. Talk about him just shining each and every week.
He's what we hoped he would be. He's a physical problem matchup-wise, and then his ball skills have really, really grown into, he's an elite pass catcher at this point. And then what he's able to do after he has the ball in his hands, not only physically and being a guy that's hard to bring down, but you got to see the speed there when he separated after he had the football. So, I'm not trying to downplay it, but that's our expectation of Tayshaun because we see it every day. So I'm excited for him and his development. I would say that, and I think he would tell you, he played so much better this week than the previous week because he wanted to win and he wanted to do everything he could for his teammates to find that win, and he had a really good game.
Looking at the defensive line for Edmond Memorial, I think, of course, you guys knew a lot before we did, but when I started watching film on them, chatting with Coach Mo as well, I mean, their defensive front, just heavy on paper, but they can move bodies for sure. How do you feel you guys managed dealing with the defensive front that seemed to get the job done really well? I mean, they've got a lot of shutouts this year. Tough to put points on them. In fact, I think they had only given up about 11 points on average over their last 5 weeks. Didn't slow down this offense, at least early in the football game at all, as you guys struck quick. And just talk about, as the night goes on in a 48-minute game, how that worked.
Yeah, that's where the youth kind of comes into play is consistency. As talented as they were in the box, especially with those two interior guys, really good coverage guys that want to be, they're very willing tacklers as well, playing high-confidence football. We knew we had our challenge like we do every week. I mean, everybody we play is really good, and I was pleased with how we were answering every time they scored. And we're still trying to find that secret sauce on offense too, is overcoming if we have a quick turnover, how are we going to respond on the next drive? If we do have a 3-and-out, how are we going to respond on the next drive? And so we're still pushing through that, but I'm pleased with our O-line development. I'm pleased with our quarterback and our running backs and our receivers and our tight ends. It's just finding that last little bit to get over the hump, or if we need to score 50, let's go score 50.
Yeah, I look at the beginning of the year. You talk about your quarterback, Jeremiah Satemba, maybe a game or two, I believe, where there's a couple of picks there that he instantly learns from, doesn't make that mistake again. What's that progress you've seen over this course of this campaign for him in his first year as a starter, in his decision-making ability throughout the progress of a game? He's using his feet a little bit more, I think, in spots where he needs to, and that's a part of the decision-making process as well, learning as a quarterback.
Yeah, and he's been that way all year to the point of exactly what you said. When he does make a mistake, he learns from it, and you rarely see him make the same mistake again. So his, the unfortunate turnover we had was a slip screen. That, if maybe he buys a little bit more time instead of trying to throw it over a guy. Right. That's not what you want to do on a slip screen, but he'll learn from that. His confidence, his decision making, they don't do anything but grow the more games you get under your belt at QB, especially with the weapons that you have around you.
Certainly so. We'll get, of course, to our players segment. We got a couple of great young men on the show, Zay Matthews-Boudreau and Dagan McCleskey, linebacker and wide receiver. We'll get to chat with those guys, and then we'll wrap things up with head coach Josh Blankenship, looking ahead to the final regular season game of the year on Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib.
Shields is now open at the Woodland Hills Mall in Tulsa, and we can't thank you enough for the warm welcome. Whether you love the great outdoors, sports, or fashion, Shields has something for everyone. Our passionate and knowledgeable Shields experts are excited to welcome you to explore thousands of brands and premium products. From our golf simulator, service shop, archery lanes, and more, we're ready to get you fitted with the best gear for you. We can't wait to see you at Shields.
Introducing QT Pay, the easiest way to transform every trip, every treat, and every gallon into instant savings every time you pay. All within the QT app. QT Pay. It just makes sense.
Welcome back to this edition of Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. We've got our player segment upcoming here. Of course, Dagan McCluskey and Zane Matthews-Boudreau joining us, a couple of guys from both sides of the football. Thanks for coming on, of course, and looking at what is now really the end of the season. It goes by quick. You guys have been fun to watch all year. Just talk a little bit about maybe trying not to take for granted these last moments of this campaign, right? I mean, it's something that you look forward to as the spring moves along, and then of course, when the semester starts, class is starting and time flies. So we'll just start with you, Dagan, just what this journey this season has kind of looked like and been for you.
For me, it was quite the long journey. From spring till now, I think our growth is honestly pretty amazing. And it's kind of sad. I kind of took it for granted. Spending time with my guy Cole, love him to death. Probably one of the best football players I've seen. I look up to him a lot, and it's kind of sad to see him gone. So this last game I'm gonna be playing for him.
Yeah, same with Dagan. Like ambush, all that fall camp. We did 7-on-7. I look up to Keaton because Keaton helped me a lot with all my plays, footwork, and just offense. Really, he's made me a better wide receiver, and I'm just gonna miss him because he's a senior.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys are in a unique position, just like everybody is that's kind of an underclassman or getting close to that senior year in general. Is you've got those seniors where, especially like senior night this last Friday, you kind of get to really hit home with that where, these guys that have really helped develop me, not just my coaches, but my teammates, are getting me to that point, and now they kind of get their spotlight moment on senior night. Just talk about this senior class in general for you guys that you get to be a part of, and you've got a lot of teammates that are putting it on the line every day.
The senior class now, like this year compared to last year, I have to say it's something special. They're all really nice, good leaders, love them all, and it's gonna suck to see them gone.
Yeah, way better than last year. Everybody says it too.
Well, hey, it's kind of like whenever you get maybe a unique group of guys that are able to, one, perform on the field, but two, make sure they take care of things off the field. That's what the fans don't get to see, right, is maybe how those seniors are helping develop you guys in practice every day, off the field, helping keep guys accountable in the classroom, things like that. And you kind of look at a little bit of a difference in the staff as well this year on the defensive side of the ball, things like that. Have to maybe learn a new system. Just talk about the challenges of that and how it's made you a better football player as you move along.
The challenges, it's kind of weird, learning a whole new playbook from, off season, spring ball. But the Zoom calls really do help. The Zoom calls are a big part. And, ripping what's on barrels outside there before practice, 20 minutes before, it really helps our defense. And I think we're going to be pretty good at it.
Yeah, looking at the offensive side of the ball for you, Zane, it's a young group of core players that make up the offense. It's getting even younger with you guys. You look at guys like Corey Sango getting the job done in the backfield as well. Talk about maybe a little bit of a chip on the shoulder you guys get to have because this isn't a senior-heavy offensive core. This is a team that, one, can get really good this year but get even better as time goes on. And just what's it been like taking ownership with kind of your group of non-seniors in a sense?
It's been great, honestly, learning a new playbook and everything. But the young people, they just learn real quick. I didn't really think that would happen, but now we got Sango up here, and he's doing great. So after this season, he's gonna strive. He's just gonna do way better. And me too. Since I'm a sophomore, though, I was learning a whole new playbook since freshman year. So it was just way different. And then learning it now, I just now know it's just easy for everybody to do it.
Yeah, and I think it's also something important that you get to go through that same progress, exponential progress with the same guys, right? Maybe it's not you're learning this playbook and you're getting maybe some chemistry down with guys you might not see again next year, right? And so I think that's really important for you guys. Looking at maybe some moments ahead. You guys are trying to punch your ticket to the postseason, trying to get your way into that as well. Westmore's a big opponent coming up here, and maybe talk about some lessons that you guys have learned over the past few weeks, trying to make sure you tune up for what is a big game here.
Some of the lessons I learned was don't really get too comfortable because you don't know what's going to happen next, and practice like it's your last because you never know what's going to happen.
Just play fast. That's all we really got to do. Just don't go slow, and then we'll just win the game.
Yeah, I think speed, especially once you get to the point where maybe that up-tempo offense can really be in high gear. You're comfortable with play calls. You kind of know maybe sequences of plays that you like that your coaching staff likes to have immediately. Get that down. And some things that we always like to ask guys that are on our show, maybe when they represent both sides of the ball, is what it's like going against each other in practice every day. You guys kind of get to work, the middle of the field as well, in his real estate at the end of the day. And how does both sides of the ball do at making each other better with this group in particular this year?
Probably, I think it's like iron sharpens iron. Like when I'm coming off the edge and I see like big JJ at the right tackle position, we get a little chippy, but at our 1 minute drill. But at the end of the day, it's just we're getting each other better, and it's really helpful. And I appreciate it.
Yeah, Messiah, right?
Oh,
Messiah's a big dude. So,
we love watching him on the edge.
So every time I'm going up against him, I just get way better because I'm just going up against a bigger opponent. So it just gets me ready for the game for Friday.
Yeah, it's great that you pointed out Messiah. I mean, he's one of the top cornerbacks we've seen, right? Not just, of course, on this BA team, but really in the district. And getting a chance to work with guys like that on a daily basis, really fun. The home schedule's done, so the road schedule is on next to wrap up the year. And just looking back at not only senior night, but how quickly that home schedule went by, what's maybe your favorite parts of getting to be under the lights on a Friday here in Broken Arrow?
That's a tough one. Probably just soaking up with my guys because of how close we've gotten over the years, really. Like me and Cole, sophomore year, we didn't really talk much because he was off the edge. But now this year, we've grown so much together, and I just like the bonds that we have under those lights together. We have some good chemistry.
I think everything, just coming up from freshman, it's just way better. Better like friends, better community. I like the coaches too. I like Coach Tracy a lot. He just coached me and make me a better player.
Yeah, it goes a long way for sure. Looking at you guys maybe off the field, your classmates know maybe a little bit more about you than maybe everybody that watches our shows. But once football's done here, it's the homework continues and the semester continues. And I know you guys shake your head at that, of course, at the end of the day. But getting good grades and making sure that your future is intact as well is such an important part of being a student athlete. There's being an athlete and then there's being a student athlete. And that's what you guys are at the end of the day. And maybe tell some of our fans a little bit about who you are outside of the game of football. What's maybe most important to you when you're finishing up the school year, and what you guys like to do in your free time when you're not focusing on the game?
For me, definitely my family and my grades, and what I do kind of outside of school, I like to hang out with my friends a lot. I'm a big, communication guy. I like to hang out with my guys.
Good.
Reflect on the season a bit, watch the games in the past. So it's going to be fun. I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I really just, after football, I go over the track, and after that, I just go home, just relax. That's all I really like to do. I hang out with my friends sometimes, but just sleeping and relaxing.
Yeah, you guys are right. Trust me, you're going to have plenty of times in your life for other hobbies that you might get down the road for sure. But focus on football right now. That's the big focus. A little bit from your all's perspective about Westmoore. That's what we're interested in a little bit here. As we move along, of course, Friday's coming up as well. What do you guys maybe know about Westmoore right now, and what's that communication like as far as approaching a team that maybe people counted out altogether at the beginning of the year, but certainly can have a good performance, Westmoore?
And I think we're better than Westmoore. I think they're a really pass-heavy team offensively, so we're gonna have little trouble there because I'm not the best cover linebacker at all. But I know that our secondary is gonna do their thing, and we're gonna have a good game against them.
They got a really young defense. They got a freshman corner, sophomore safety. So we're just looking to pass the ball a lot. We'll just do good.
Slinging it around, that's the key. Well, we'll be watching, of course, on Friday night to make sure that this team can solidify what is a postseason berth possibly upcoming. That has been, of course, our player segment. We want to thank Dagan McCluskey and Zane Matthews-Boudreau for being on the show. Wide receiver and linebacker for your BA Tigers. We'll be back to wrap up Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib, in just a moment.
Tulsa Bone and Joint, Northeast Oklahoma's sports medicine experts. We are pleased to help you and the athletes in your life with a number of surgical and non-surgical options. Tulsa Bone and Joint is proud to serve as team orthopedist for local high schools such as Broken Arrow, Owasso, Sapulpa, Cascia Hall, and Bishop Kelly. We're also proud to be team orthopedist for FC Tulsa. Tulsa Bone and Joint, moving life forward.
Around the clock, throughout eastern Oklahoma, we're devoted to improving the health of our communities, our home. We are your friends and neighbors. We are the people of St. Francis.
At Ascension St. John, you'll find advanced heart care, brain and spine care, and personalized cancer care. And we excel just as much in the things that can't be measured. Listening more closely, caring more compassionately.
Welcome back for the final segment on Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. We look ahead to Westmoore. Home schedule is done with. Now it's focusing on getting on a bus and winning a road game to punch a ticket to the postseason, hopefully here. And we go back all the way to the beginning of the season on this show, where we talked about the dynamic of what's it like to be on the road. There's almost less distractions. You're on a bus. You're with the core group of guys that you're working with, one on the field, but just two in network with, that you've watched film all day with. You get to the building, and all there is to think about is the game of football. You don't have maybe the distractions of a home game as much. And you talked about how you really enjoyed during your playing days just the atmosphere of being on the road. Maybe not even getting to the stadium, but just being on that bus in general. And this is the epitome of it all. Like, this is the height of what it takes to go prepare right and do the right things on that trip in every moment to get a win. Yep.
I've mentioned this before. Going on the road brings its own set of challenges, but at the same time, when it's all said and done, you're done with football. Those are where some of your greatest memories come from, is those road trips. I love how our group prepares. I love how seriously our group has taken our guidance and our coaching on how to travel right. I think our last travel win was at Edmond Santa Fe. And we did everything right prep wise. We did what we were supposed to do on the bus. It was exceptional. It was a high character group, like I keep saying. So while it's still one of those things we will emphasize, we will talk about, we will make sure we're doing correctly. This group's learned how to do it, and so it's not a thing that concerns me, to the point of being nervous about it.
Yeah, you've got that culture buy-in in a sense where you can just go worry about football at the end of the day, and Westmoore will worry about them from a coach's perspective. For fans that are going to watch this game and want to know a little bit more about the X's and O's, what does Westmoore look like to you? I think, maybe this is just our perspective on the way outside, but maybe some people wrote off Westmoore at the beginning of the year. They've proven to, I think, be a little bit better of a football team than maybe people thought in week one. And they got a brand new stadium. There's a lot of energy around the program as far as, hey, maybe we have a chance to play spoiler at times here. And what does Westmoore as an identity look like to you?
They're always unbelievably athletic. Last year they had a bunch of bigs, a bunch of seniors, along with some really, really exceptional senior skill kids. And then they had one of the best years Westmore's had in a long time last season. So they're coming off a really good year, which breeds confidence, to think that even if things aren't going well, to be a spoiler. They still have a chance to get in the playoffs if they beat us. So they are going to have a sense of urgency to get this win as well.
Right.
Offensively, again, will they do it on Friday night? What they've shown on film is to be in a lot of 10 personnel, and they want to throw the ball around quite a bit. They've got some very dynamic skill guys out on the edges, and so I think they're smart in what they're trying to do, that they're trying to get those guys, the ball out in space. The quarterback's got a really good arm. They've got two of them that they play, but they both throw it really well. Defensively, they've got a lot of big guys going both ways, so I hope, but we do too. They've got probably more going both ways than we do, so I'm hopeful that we can wear them out a little bit. But again, exceptional skill guys in the secondary that can absolutely fly, and they're very aggressive, love to be tacklers, love to be physical. So it's like every other week in the sense that there's no team we play that isn't loaded with talent. That's just the reality. So we know that. It's about us. It's about everything we were talking about earlier as far as what we've got to do to get over the hump in a couple things. We've got to get off the field on 3rd and long. We've got to overcome adversity. Offensively, we've got to take care of the football. And if we do that, we'll go win.
Yeah, I had just a quick question as well about preparation for a game like this. Does it really have any impact at all as far as getting to look at a team like Westmoore having film on Edmond Memorial and Union, two teams that you played in the very recent history, where you can almost learn from your own film against those teams how they matched up against certain schemes? Is it a little bit of a relief to maybe have those, I guess, ideal matchups for film, or is it maybe something that there's too much weight put in?
No, it's probably somewhere in the middle of all that. You want to see, having an abundance of film is always a good thing. you've got all the data you can have. You've got all the situations, scenarios that, early in the season you might only have, a scrimmage or one game. And so you don't know what they're going to do in different situations. So we've got an abundance of that. You've still got to narrow it down and have a plan. I don't get into a whole lot of comparison matchups like Edmond Memorial versus Westmoore versus Norman North. Right. None of that really matters because we're a completely different team. And so to compare the two as a matchup is not healthy. But to look at things that they're doing to find success, and does that fit what we do, or how do we make that fit what we do? But ultimately, it's going to come down to it's going to be what do we do best to take advantage of what we think they don't do best.
Yeah, I think something that maybe fans don't think about in the moment, and you guys aren't necessarily worried about a ton, but do have some weight in, is you do have a senior class that's going to maybe have some opportunities to play at the college level, certain players. What does maybe those conversations look like in the meantime as the season winds down? You guys are trying to help these guys get their film out there. Yep. You guys are also probably communicating with a lot of staffs about your guys. They're wanting to learn what kind of kids these guys are. They're going to ask them themselves directly if they get opportunities, but they're also asking, their head coaches. And as we go to the final regular season home game of the year, what does that process maybe look like for these guys in your program that might get a chance to the next level for you?
Yeah, it's first and foremost, it's making sure they're keeping their grades up. You don't want to give any college coach a red flag to not recruit you. So we talk about that a lot, making sure their film stays updated because it's constantly being shared or accessed. We have a lot of conversations with coaches, either phone, text, email. You have coaches that come watch practice, coaches come watch games, or just come stop by for a visit, on their bye week. And then naturally, the players are going on a lot of visits, on a Saturday after we've played, go watch a college game, sneak in a campus visit, sneak in some conversations with those coaches and those recruiters. So there's a lot on the kids' end, but there's a lot on our end as well. It'll really ramp up after the season ends, as far as actual offers, details of offers, especially with the D2 guys in offer. Well, what does that mean? Because it's usually not a full scholarship like a D1 is. So getting clarity on a lot of that so that the parents and kids can get all the information they need to make decisions.
Decisions are coming up, of course, for those young men. And finally, as we get ready for what is the push for the playoff at the end of the day, it's season number 2. It's a clean slate. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you just eked in or say you're a team like Owasso that has ran the table just about in every way that they can. Everybody has an opportunity to be 1-0 that week, and that's all you have to be at the end of it. So being 1-0 this week against Westmoore is obviously the task, and your message just to the fan base and your guys maybe that fans don't get to listen to per se about what this moment means on the road in the west side of the state.
We always talk about get in, get hot. Once you're in the tournament, anything can happen. The idea is obviously that you're playing your best football when you get there so that the magic can happen. So the only way we can control that is by focusing on Westmoore this week, and even before that, focusing on practice this week and our film this week, today. So that's it. Sense of urgency, 1-0. We'll worry about where we're going, who we're going to play after we handle business on Friday night.
We're excited to see where it might lead to. Of course, Friday night, Westmoore on the west side of the state. If you want to travel out there, certainly welcome to. We'd love to see a lot of VA fans in the stands below our booth. But, of course, the game will be on ArrowVision at the end of the day. So make sure you tune in there. This has been, of course, an edition with head coach Josh Blankenship of Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib as the season's almost wrapping up. We'll see you guys next time.